So, how do we experience fundamental reality? How do we experience the source of all experience? How do we get in touch with our true self? How do we experience our immortality, our timeless being? And traditionally, yoga has been the method, starting with yama niyama, which is social emotional intelligence, yogasana, understanding the body as a field of awareness, pranayam, breathing techniques to show the interface between consciousness, mind, and the body as a field of awareness, pratyahara, interoceptive awareness, and interoceptive mastery, which means controlling the autonomic nervous system, dharana, focused awareness, dhyan, meditation, and ultimately samadhi, where there is no subject-object split, and you have arrived at the source of all experience, including the source of the experience that we call observer or witness, the experience that we call witnessing, or the mode of observation, and the experience that we call object, which is actually a perceptual activity reified as the concept object. But samadhi is the state where all three exist as pure potentiality. In other words, in samadhi, observer and observed are one, and so is the process of observation. Seer and scenery are one, but so is the seeing as part of it. Actually, the seeing is the most important. The seer and scenery are byproducts in every seeing. Another story, another discussion at some point. But samadhi is freedom. Samadhi is freedom from all suffering. Samadhi is liberation. Samadhi is spontaneous right knowing, spontaneous right thinking, spontaneous right speaking, spontaneous right speaking, spontaneous right doing, as byproducts of the state of samadhi, or to be established in being. What in yoga is called yogast kuru karmani, established in yoga or in the source of all experience, perform action. That we read in the Bhagavad Gita, one of the Upanishads, when Krishna tells Arjuna, Nistraya gun Arjun, which means go beyond the gunas. The gunas are the principles through which creation operates. Okay, these principles are creativity, transformation, and inertia, everything that you see. In modern terms, you could even call it spin charge and mass, but go beyond that. So samadhi is a state of culmination of all meditation practices. And when we experience it, there is freedom, tranquility, bliss, Ananda Shakti. It is, as I said, the eighth and final limb of the Ashtanga Yoga tradition. It's also actually part of Buddhism. Samadhi is seen as a state of union with the source of all existence, which is considered divine consciousness. So pure consciousness is divine consciousness. When you experience samadhi, the mind becomes first completely focused on an object of meditation. Soon thoughts and distractions are dispelled. The body starts to feel still and the breath slows down and even stops. The experience of samadhi is blissful, peaceful. And it is also in Buddhism described as the state of pure awareness, where the practitioner's mind becomes completely clear, focused, and then the mind is transcended. And this state of awareness is said to be necessary for achieving enlightenment. In fact, it is enlightenment. Now, there are different levels of samadhi. The first level is called savitarka samadhi, in which the meditator is aware of the object of meditation and of their own thoughts about the object. You see, that's an object there, that statue behind me, but you have thoughts about it. And in fact, that's not a statue, that's a human construct. That's a qualia experience, combination of sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, perceptions. In any case, the first stage of samadhi is where, which I just mentioned, savitarka samadhi, where there is awareness of the object of meditation. But there's always also thoughts about the object of meditation. And the second stage is called nirvitarka samadhi. Nirvitarka samadhi. And here, the meditator is only aware of the object of meditation. Only aware. Silent witnessing. So there's no evaluation, there's no description, there's no thought about the object. The object appears as the object on the screen of consciousness. And there's a third level of samadhi, it's called samapatti samadhi, in which the meditator, as the observer or subject, completely merges with the object of meditation and loses all sense of the self. There's only the object. Okay. And then there are states beyond that. Where subject disappears, object disappears, and there's only pure consciousness. Let's see what Patanjali has to say about these states, because it is Patanjali who is the master of yoga. So, according to Patanjali, there is something called sampragyanata samadhi. It's called seed samadhi. This is a state of deep concentration or awareness where the mind is focused on a single object of meditation. There's still some awareness of the self and the world, but it's very subtle. As I mentioned, sarvitarka samadhi, the mind focuses on every aspect of the object, form. So when you look at these objects, you focus on form, color, texture. Then there's savichara samadhi, where you or the mind analyzes the object of meditation, thinking about its meaning and significance. What is the meaning behind that object, Lakshmi, that I'm pointing out to? That she's the goddess of abundance, which is the symbolic representation of all the attributes, such as giving and receiving, which create abundance. And if I shift my computer a little bit, you'll see these other objects. Shiva, Shakti, the snake, rituals, and these are all ways of actually thinking about the significance, the meaning, the symbolic representation of consciousness. Then there is something called Sa-ananda samadhi, where the mind becomes absorbed in the bliss of these objects of meditation. And then something called Sa-asmita samadhi. The mind loses all sense of self and becomes one with the object of meditation. And there is asamprajnata samadhi, seedless. Now it's gone beyond even the seed of of manifestation. This is the state of pure consciousness where there is no awareness of any object, no awareness of the observer. It's the highest state of samadhi and is said to be the goal of all practice. Interesting, isn't it? This is freedom. But yoga has much more to offer. The spiritual traditions of that come from yoga and the Upanishads go even into other types of samadhi. Dharma mega samadhi, the state of samadhi where the mind is filled with wisdom and compassion. Nirvana samadhi, Buddhist practice. This is the ultimate state of liberation where there is no need for recycling, bodhisattva, but one can actually choose to incarnate in order to help other sentient beings. So none of these types of samadhi are mutually exclusive. It is possible to experience different types of samadhi in the same meditation session. The type of samadhi that is experienced will depend on, of course, the meditator's level of practice and the object of meditation. But knowledge of samadhi actually allows us to know that as the source of experience, we are the creators of the experience we call mind, body, and universe. And that reality is different in different states of consciousness, which means perception is different in different states of consciousness, which also means that biology is different in different states of consciousness, which means knowledge is different in different states of consciousness. It also means that reality is different in different states of consciousness. Our current science is based on the waking state of consciousness, and it's very effective. Imagine if we had access to all these states of consciousness, what a science that would be. And I think once we bring, the ideas of Western science and bring them together with the ideas that come from Eastern wisdom traditions, because Western science is all about what's out there, and Eastern science or yoga is all about who wants to know and where is that wants to know. So, when we combine the understanding of consciousness and our current understanding of science, science will have its glory. Science needs a revision in order to have its ultimate glory as seeking truth, not just creating models of truth, but accessing truth. Okay. So if this is useful, give me your feedback and I will continue to share these ideas with you, even take you through some meditations to experience these types of samadhi. Let me know.